Hi! In this video I want to talk about the packing mistakes that I've made on long trips. I want to talk about this with you because I have made some stupid mistakes while packing up my things that I take traveling with me for long trips. I'm talking about trips that are more than 3 weeks long. But also this is very much applicable to any kind of travel that just takes a little bit more planning. And if you were really doubting between what is really useful and what isn't useful, I will show you the things that I found useful and the things that I absolutely should have left at home but did bring on my travels. Let's start off with one that could have saved me so much space and so much weight, which were bottles of shampoo and conditioner. This was the exact brand that I took with me on my Interrail trip. And my hair back then was quite long. It was like underneath the text of the shirt. And basically this is heavy and it's very voluminous, these bottles themselves. Back in the day, which was in 2018, I didn't know about the existence of shampoo bars. Nowadays I would not travel with conditioner at any time. Like usually there are also conditioner bars, but I would also leave those at home. Usually the only type of like hygiene under the shower product that I would take with me is a shampoo bar. I would definitely never take shampoo bottles again. In the case that this will leak, it will leak everywhere and I don't want that to happen with my luggage. The second mistake that I would never ever take with me again is heavy volume makeup removers. So I would usually take a packet of face wipe with me, which isn't a bad choice at all. Nowadays I would just travel with a packet of face wipes, because usually if you just splash your face with a bit of water afterwards, most of your makeup will be gone anyway. But I also took this is not the correct bottle, I took a much smaller one. I took a bottle of micellar water with me and a packet of cotton buds. It's just so much volume for nothing, and especially considering that this is basically what you do if you splash your face with water in a sink. Why would you need a whole other product just to clean your face? Back in my Interrail trip, I was only using hostels to sleep at, so I needed to bring my own towel. And I bought these. These are quite good actually. This is a really thin towel that isn't actually made of towel material. I think it's made of a microfiber, but I could be wrong. But the thing that I hate about having brought these is that I brought two. And one is more than enough for one person, especially because these things dry really quickly. I never was in the circumstance when I had to use the other towel because the previous towel that I used wasn't dry yet. So taking one of those would have been perfect, but taking two was just taking up space. Although these don't take up a lot of space, like it's space that I could have used for other things that I just didn't do. Probably the biggest fail is taking a freaking hairdryer. Again, this is not the one that I took with me. I took with me like a small one that is meant for traveling. But I said to you at the time I had longer hair, so it would take a really long time for it to dry. But I always showered in the evenings. So my hair would have a whole night to dry, and so I didn't have to use my freaking hairdryer. Also, the only time that I used it was to give to another person who needed a hairdryer. Like, I don't think I ever used that hairdryer in that whole month of me traveling. Nowadays, when I look back on the footage that I've got from that travel, I would definitely say that I should have just worn my hair in like braids or something. Even nowadays, with my hair this short, I still prefer having my hair in braids when I'm traveling, because having tangles and knots and just carrying around a hairbrush is needed when you have braids in your hair. I definitely made choices that at home would have been perfectly fine, but when I'm traveling and when I'm just on my own, I especially didn't need to use a hairdryer at all. This might be a controversial one, but I regret taking my flip-flops with me. It's very usual for people at hostels, especially when they shower, to wear flip-flops in the bathroom and such. I just didn't. I just showered barefoot because the hostel showers and bathrooms and everything and hallways were not dirty. My flip-flops just ended up in the bottom of my bag and, well, never saw the surface even once, I believe. And also what I did, because the flip-flops were in the bottom of my bag would kind of be like this, because they obviously couldn't stay like this because they're made of rubbery material. And so whenever I put my bag down, it would just fall over because it took the shape of the flip-flops, which wasn't very convenient when I just needed to quickly put down my backpack. I don't know if I took my coat, but I'm pretty sure I took my coat with me. Again, this might be very controversial, but I should have just let my coat be at home and not have taken it with me. This is only applicable to the trip that I did throughout Europe, which was in the months of June and July. So it was very hot and very dry. I only had rain once, which was in Prague. And all the other days were gorgeous. It was around 25 degrees around all of the cities that I went to. And I just didn't need a coat. And if I needed something to shelter me from the rain, I would just go and be somewhere inside a shop or something. I would easily be able to avoid the rain. And I had clothes that could keep me warm, but I didn't need to be warm. Which brings me on to the second thing, which is my ridiculous cardigan. You can see it on this picture. I'm wearing a really long cardigan which comes up to my thighs. And basically this together with my flip-flops and maybe with the coat that I'm not sure if I even took with me, but I think I took my coat with me, as I said. This just ended up at the bottom of my bag and it took up so much volume. I should have realized that this was the most unnecessary item that I ever could have bought with me on any trip. And I should have learned from this, because way back when I did my stay abroad in England for 2 months, I bought almost all my clothing with me, because again I wasn't traveling by plane. And I took a few blazers with me that I simply did not wear, but that took up a lot of space in my suitcase. And so sometimes I am still trying to figure out a way to bring warm clothes, but not have so much volume in my bag. I just should have been more casual with my clothes. Long, thick jeans. In 2018, I did not wear shorts yet. I just wasn't confident with my legs and I just did not want people to see my bare skin. Well, what that resulted in is that I only took long jeans with me, and some of them were really, really, really thick. As I said to you, the weather was 25 degrees, so I could easily have just worn some shorts, but I just didn't want to. But all those jeans took up so much space in my backpack, and when I travel now, if I know that I'm going to a sunny country where the weather is good, I would go for dresses and shorts. I nowadays don't really care if people don't like to look at my legs. I simply don't care. So please don't take thick trousers and jeans with you. What I would nowadays do if the weather is not appropriate for shorts, I would just go for cargo pants. Cargo pants also have the advantage of having lots of pockets, so I could put everything in my pocket and feel a lot more safe about the things that I'm traveling with. I hate this picture so very much because it reminds me of all the crappy stuff that I brought with me. I bought freaking clothing hangers with me because I was sure that I might have to do laundry. I did do laundry. I did a lot of laundry in my Israel trip. I think I did laundry 3 times. Well, I went to the laundromat. But I never had to hang my clothes, because what I would usually do is I would just throw them into the clothing dryer and they would get dried from the machine, or I would just dry them on my bunk bed. I wouldn't have needed separate clothing hangers. And with those clothing hangers I also bought clothing pins. Well, that was just ridiculous. And you could see in this picture that I actually used them, but I could very well hang them on my bunk bed. And yeah, this took up so much space. The last thing that revolves around clothes, yes, I made the biggest mistakes with clothes, is wire bras. Ladies who watch this video, you will obviously know that wire bras just become really sweaty after like a second in the sun. I don't have a lot of boob going on, and so I could have easily just worn bralettes, which I somehow did not want to wear on this trip because I thought that bralettes were just awful. I love bralettes in this day and age. Like, they're the greatest thing ever. And they could have kept me so much more like breezy, because like the padding in a wire bra obviously makes you very sweaty. And considering that sometimes I would have to go from one city to the other in another country, and I would have my heavy backpack, so my back would be really sweaty, but my front would also be really sweaty because I was wearing a wire bra. If you are someone who has breasts, just take bralettes with you, or sports bras. If you have bigger boobs, then obviously go with sports bras because they offer more support. And the last thing I regret taking with me is a bottle without a carabine. I would have saved myself so much time if I just had a bottle that I could hang on my clothes or hang on my belt loop, for example, and just be able to have my bottle of water on my body instead of in my bag. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video about my biggest packing regrets that I've ever had on my long travels. And hopefully you will never make these mistakes like I did. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like me, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!